The title of this painting is called Thomas Chandler Haliburton. It was painted by William Valentine, who was born in Whitehaven, England in 1798 and passed away in Halifax, Nova Scotia in 1849. This painting was made in 1835 and is an oil on canvas. It was a gift to the National Gallery of Canada by Laurie Wallace in 2014. The accession number is 46477. The description of this painting is as follows. Haliburton was a major figure in Canadian history and Valentine's most prestigious model. Creator of the character of Sam Slick, he was highly successful author, as popular, so it was said, as his contemporary Charles Dickens. The young sitter's personality evidently inspired Valentine. For this restrained but lively portrait is one of his best works. Born in England, the artist immigrated to Halifax in his youth, and it was there where he pursued his career. William Valentine was born in 1798 in Whitehaven, England. Little is known of his childhood or formal art training in England. Some sources suggest he may have been largely self-taught, although the details before his move to Canada are scarce. Valentine immigrated to Halifax, Nova Scotia in 1818. Soon after his arrival, he established himself as a professional painter. In his early years in Halifax, he advertised not only his portrait and painting services, but also he worked as a house and sign painter, a common necessity for artists awaiting commissions in that period. Early advertisement characterized him as a drawn teacher, portraitist, and landscape painter. Valentine's portraits are recognized for their naturalistic simplicity, typically featuring sitters against dark or neutral backgrounds. His approach contrasted with the grand, stylized European portraiture of the time, instead of favoring focused character and detail in the face. Most of his subjects came from the middle class of Halifax and the broader Atlantic Canadian region, not exclusively the elite society members. In 1836, he traveled to London, England, where he studied and copied works by prominent portraitists. This sojourn in time refined his sense of tone and color, and his later portraits reflect that improvement. Valentine frequently worked as an itinerary painter, spending weeks in towns like Charlottetown and St. John's to secure commissions, a practice common to many 19th century portraitists. Later in his career, Valentine became one of the early adopters of photography in Canada. Around 1842, he learned and began using daguerreotype process, making him a pioneer of this new technology in the Atlantic provinces. He even partnered with Canadian photographer Thomas Coffin Duane, mentoring him in the process. Valentine was married twice in his lifetime, the first to Susanna Smith in Halifax in 1822, with whom he had two daughters. Later in 1830, he married Sharon Sullen. In 1848, a devastating fire in his studio destroyed many of his finest paintings and works in the progress, a loss deeply felt given a value to so many of his commissions. Valentine would then pass away later on uh, in 1848. He passed away on December 26th in the year of 1848 in Halifax and was buried in Camp Hill Cemetery. Over the years, he painted around 125 to 150 portraits covering figures both well-known and everyday citizens of Canadian society. Many of his works survive today in major Canadian institutions, including the National Gallery of Canada, the Library Archives of Canada, New Brunswick's Museum, and the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia. Thomas Chandler Haliburton was born on December 17, 1796, in Windsor, Nova Scotia, then a British colony. He was the son of William Hersey Otis Haliburton, a prominent lawyer and judge, and Lucy Chandler Grant. His mother passed away when he was an infant, and his father later remarried into another influential Loyalist family. Haliburton grew up in an elite Loyalist and Anglican environment, shaped by strong Tory political views that would influence him throughout his life. He received his early education locally and then attended King's College in Windsor, graduating in 1815. This education embedded him in conservative establishment values of the time. In 1816, he married Louisa Neville, daughter of a British Army officer. The couple would have several children, including future prominent figures such as Robert Grant Haliburton, a lawyer and anthropologist, as well as Arthur Lawrence Haliburton, who became the first Baron Haliburton, the first Native Canadian elevated to British peerage. After completing his legal studies, Haliburton was admitted to the Nova Scotia Bar in 1820 and began his law practice in Annapolis Royal. He quickly became respected as a lawyer and community leader. In 1826, he entered politics as a representative of Annapolis County in Nova Scotia House of Assembly. Initially aligned with the reformist elements, he later drifted back towards his early Tory convictions and resigned his seat. Haliburton's legal career advanced when he became a judge of the Inferior Court of Commons Pleas in 1829, succeeding his father in the position. Later, when that court was abolished in 1841, he was appointed to the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia, where he served with distinctions until 1856. Haliburton's international fame rests on his contributions to 19th century humor and satire. In the mid-1830s, he began writing humorous sketches for the Nova Scotian newspaper, featuring a witty Yankee clock peddler named Sam Slick. Sketches were later compiled and published as The Clockmaker or The Sayings and Doings of Samuel Slick of Slickville. The first series was published in 1836, which became Canada's first international bestseller and won popularity across British Empire and the United States. The character of Sam Slick and his Cracker Barrel philosophy satirized colonial life, politics, and the human nature, as well as introducing phrases that have entered common English usage. Haliburton's witty style and keen observations made him one of the most widely read humorists of his time. He wrote numerous other works, including a general description of Nova Scotia published in 1823, an historical and statistical account of Nova Scotia published in 1829, The Bubbles of Canada published in 1839, The Attaché or Sam Slick in England published between 1843 and 1844, The Old Judge or A Life in a Colony published in 1849, as well as The Nature and Human Nature published in 1855. Though these publications he blended humor with insights into colonial society, politics, and transatlantic relations. In 1856, ill health and disputes over pension matters prompted Haliburton to resign from the bench and relocate to Canada. He settled near London and, levering his prominence, entered British politics. In 1859, he was elected as a Conservative Member of Parliament of Launceston, Cornwall, serving in the House of Commons until his passing. In this role, he continued to advocate for colonial interests and took part in debates on the future of British North America. Haliburton also became involved in Canadian Land and Immigration Company, serving as its first chair. The company's promotion of settlement led in part to places such as Haliburton County in Ontario being named in his honor. Thomas Chandler Haliburton passed away on August 27, 1865, in Alsworth, Middlesex, in England. He left behind a lasting legacy as one of Canadians' earliest and most internationally recognized authors. His Haliburton House in Windsor, Nova Scotia, is preserved as a museum and cultural site, celebrating his life and impact on literature and colonial history. Haliburton's work influenced both Canadian and North American humor traditions, and his blend of satire and social commentary continues to be studied as a significant contribution to 19th century literature.